Flip Side of the Coin is a podcast where we focus on a different way of looking or thinking about a situation. Each week, I will talk about a topic that is less talked about, yet relevant in today's society. It is discussed from different perspectives and opinions. The point of it all is to open your mind and your ears to converse about what's on the flip side of the coin. Today's episode of Flip Side of the Coin, I will be talking about senior companionship. I truly believe that we all deserve human touch at all ages. I believe that we all deserve to have a few trusted friends, family, and or intimate connections, elderly people who have been in marital relationships or have experienced long-term relationships that's ended in death still long for that connection. Granted, it may have differences, and I think it's necessary. So earlier this week, I asked a question on my social media, and the question was, how would you feel if your widowed grandparent or elderly family member desired to have a romantic relationship? Would you agree or oppose? And did you know that a lot of elderly people suffers from loneliness? So one of my Instagram followers responded, "Yep, my mama need a boo thing too." Shoot, I'm just saying. Shout out to my girl at Four Fellas on Instagram. So, and I agree with her. I believe that because we've experienced love at some point in our life, the human touch from the opposite sex or same sex, whatever, it's like, and when that's no longer there, I believe that some people long for that touch and for that intimacy, for that companionship, the conversations, the outings, etc. So, I mean, why not? I mean, I think it's good to be able to have that tingly feeling and just to get out and feel like you have a sense of belonging in your golden ages. I think that is very, very, very important. Just because someone is aging doesn't mean that the feelings and experiences that they had in their early life goes away. So I've seen that people in their golden ages, rarely have visitations, calls, connections from other family members, and they oftentimes experience bouts of loneliness, and they slip into depression, sadness, and even when company comes over, they tend to somehow try to keep them there as long as they can, only because they don't know when they're going to come back, you know. So I remember visiting my grandmother some time ago, and granted, we lived a little over an hour away. So when I would come over, I would probably spend, I don't know, maybe an hour or two with her. And for her, that hour or two probably seemed like 1 or 2 minutes because we didn't visit very often. Now I would say because of the distance, but she also understood that I suffer with migraines, and so I didn't travel as much. So she, would, say things like, "Oh, you're leaving already?" And that's only because she misses us and she misses having company all the time. Or she would say things like, "Oh, you can just call and I'll be satisfied with the phone call because I know y'all live far away." Just is, she felt special and she felt like she was important when I would call her. Because she would say things like, "Thank you for thinking about the little old lady." And I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine what she's experiencing, because not too many people are going to share that. You know, it's kind of like bottled up in the back of their mind, because they don't, may not feel comfortable talking about that part of their life, that once was, you know. So I just hope that when I get that age, that my life is filled with excitement, and my children and grandchildren and important people in my life, that I want to continue to maintain the life that I have now at age 40. Like, I still want to go out and have fun, or just enjoy life, period, and not just be nestled in my house all day. So, um, but anyway, it just truly breaks my heart to hear the elderly complain of loneliness, especially when they've done so much to help others, from family members to friends to complete strangers. They often feel like they've been forgotten. So, I did a few, I did some research. And according to my research that I got off the internet, what is this website? So the website is stonegates.com. And they say that more than 40% of seniors regularly experience loneliness, according to a University of California at San Francisco study. This feeling of separation and disconnection from others may predict serious health problems and even death. Given the consequences of loneliness, many in the healthcare industry have recommended that it be diagnosed and treated with the same rigor applied to any other disease or chronic illnesses. So, loneliness increases the likelihood of mortality by 26%. Lacking social connections as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And that's a lot. That is truly a lot. So there were times when I was available, or when I wasn't sick, I would make my business to go to my maternal grandmother's house just to sit and chat, or to sit and laugh, or just to be around her. I love being around older people because they have so much wisdom, and I have so much to learn. And it's great hearing stories about their life and their experiences. And I kind of miss that. Anything that someone shares that really pertains and resonates to my life, I want to get as much as possible, as soon as possible. So, with that said, a few years ago, I had a program. I had a nonprofit organization. And one of the programs that I had was the Senior Activity Center. And I wanted to have this program because, there were so many elderly in the community that didn't go anywhere besides church. And I'm like, you know what? We live in a rural community, and we need to have a day where the seniors can come together to socialize, to have fun, to just mingle. My vision at the time was to have this big outing where they just come together and just have fun, whether it's once a month, once every other month, just to keep them active and going. And so, because I have such a love for the elderly, They've done so much for us and poured so much into our lives. Like I want to spoil them. Just spoil the hell out of them and just see them, see their faces filled with laughter and you know, just watching them glow, you know. And so the program that I had, it was held once a week at this local community center. And it started out pretty slow. It really slow. My grandmother was my biggest supporter. Even if she was the only one there, the program still went as scheduled. We still had our morning, coffee and tea and little breakfast danishes and stuff like that. Whether it was one or none, we went ahead with the program. So then, people started slowly dwindling in, and we would have like Bible devotions with the Our Daily Bread books. We had arts and crafts. So someone from the community came in and taught crocheting. Then there were volunteers from small businesses in the area who came in and they just gave from their heart, and I appreciated them so much to this day. So we had someone that came in, just did basic hair care, whether it was a trim and curl or whatever. I was the one polishing their nails. Um, there was a line dancer that came from Charleston. There was a young lady who came and had a little class about her smoothies and the benefits of smoothies and how to pick the right fruit and vegetables according to the labels. And it was very, very, very educational. We had a ball, and they looked forward to it every week. And unfortunately, I had to end it because I had to really focus on finishing college and completing some, personal programs that projects that I had started, and it demanded my full attention. But the whole point of having the senior activity center was just to get people from out of the house out in order to engage in activity, engage in other people, and just to have fun and add life to their lives. So, and hopefully, I'm hoping that I can just pick up the pieces and, pick up from where I left off and just bring this activity back to the community. There were a few deaths since the program ended, but we must keep going. And I am going to definitely make it my business to reach out to the seniors who are still here and just to say hi. I'm still thinking about you. You're still important to me. And, you mean a lot to me. So I want to keep it going. So I want to encourage everyone who is listening, who, have senior citizens in their lives to stay in contact, go visit, make a phone call or two, send a gift, a few gifts or, a card that says, hey, thank you, or hey, just reaching out or whatever, just to make them feel important, because we all want to feel important in life. There's no way around it. So we want to keep adding to adding life and vigor to our seniors, because they are very, very, very important. So here's some more research from this website called A Place for Mom. And this is a list of 20 facts about senior isolation to help you stay informed. And number 4 says social isolation makes seniors more vulnerable to elderly abuse. Many studies show a connection between social isolation and higher rates of elder abuse, reports the National Center on Elder Abuse. Researchers aren't certain whether isolated adults are more likely to fall victim to abuse or are a result of abusers attempting to isolate the elders from others to minimize risk of discovery. A critical strategy for reducing elderly abuse is speaking up. This is because abuse, neglect, and exploitation often goes unreported. Maintaining connection with senior loved ones help ensure their safety, which is very important. We must stay connected to avoid these things happening um, in nursing homes and those types of facilities, you know. And when the family members don't visit to follow up and to check on the well-being of their family members, these things happen, you know. And it's sad, it really breaks my heart that these people are experiencing this and the so-called caretakers are not doing their jobs. So that's another talk show for another day. Number 5 says LGBTQ seniors are much more likely to be socially isolated. It goes on to say LGBTQ seniors are twice as likely to live alone, according to SAGE, which stands for Services and Advocacy for for GLBT elders. Additionally, they are more likely to be single, more likely to be estranged from their biological families, and they are less likely to have children. Unfortunately, stigma and discrimination may be major roadblocks to support LGBTQ seniors. However, there are increasingly more community groups and online resources devoted to helping these elders avoid isolation. Here it says loneliness can cause high blood pressure. A study in psychology and aging indicated a direct relationship between loneliness in older adults and increases a systolic blood pressure over the course of 4 years. These increases were independent of race, ethnicity, gender, and other possible contributing factors. Researchers suggest that the early interventions for loneliness may be the key to preventing both isolation and associated health risks. Here's another fact. The loss of a spouse is a major risk factor for loneliness and isolation. Losing a spouse is an event that becomes more common as people enter old age. The loss of a spouse has been shown by numerous studies to increase seniors' vulnerability to emotional and social isolation, says the same report from the British Columbia Ministry of Health. Besides the loneliness brought on by bereavement, the loss of a partner may also mean the loss of social interactions that were facilitated by being part of a couple. Ensuring seniors have access to family and friendship support can help alleviate this loneliness. It also says loneliness can be contagious. Simply telling seniors to engage in more social activities may not be enough. Considering our loved ones' needs as individuals is a valuable first step to figuring out how to prevent or combat isolation. Technology can help senior isolation, but not always. Even though modern technology provides us with numerous ways to keep in touch, sometimes the result is that we feel lonelier than ever. Health Quality Ontario states that the key to finding technological interventions that really do help is to match those interventions to the specific needs of individual seniors. For seniors with hearing loss, simply providing a hearing aid can improve communication and reduce loneliness. Phone contact and web based support programs were less consistent in their effectiveness, but for some may provide a lifeline. Because there are some seniors who probably can't or may not want to get involved with the internet or social media because some seniors are set in their ways and they're not open to anything new. So spending time with the senior, whether it's doing an arts and craft project, playing board games, even looking at old photos is enough for some of them. Taking them out the house for a drive or going to get some ice cream or something like that may be better than connecting them to technology, you know. And it could be fascinating for some. It just depends on how open their minds are to new things. Here's another fact that says group exercise programs are a wonderfully effective way to reduce isolation and loneliness in seniors. Of course, they also have the added benefit of being great for physical and mental health. In one study discussed by Health Quality Ontario, seniors reported greater well being regardless of whether the activity was aerobic or low impact, such as stretching. Even walking with a friend or a pet has shown benefits for seniors and serve as an opportunity for interactions with other pet owners. Senior isolation is neither inevitable nor irreversible. Getting the facts can help us prevent loneliness and our senior loved ones as they adjust to the changes of aging. So, how would you feel? Going back to technology, and this is about finding companionship. How would you feel if you found out that your loved one had signed up for online dating for seniors? Do you think that's just too much for them? Do you think it's appropriate? Or should, because of their age, they should just stick to finding love the old-fashioned way? Um, because I've seen there are some dating sites for seniors. I just don't know. And then there's one for, I think it was something about sugar daddies or something like that. I'm like, oh my God. But some of these people, they just want time and attention. And then you have some who just want sex, but can you blame them? After being married, for them being married 30 plus years and now it's not happening anymore. I mean, what can you do? You know, like I said, we're all human and we desire human touch in some way, form, or fashion. So let me know what y'all think. I mean, we all going to have to we all are getting old day by day. And we have to stay in tune and we have to stay connected to mind, body, soul, and spirit, and I'm going to flip it right here when talking about sex. And I know I've heard some women talk about sex and they kind of somehow bring religion into it. They was like, oh, Jesus is my husband. Jesus is my boyfriend. I don't need a man and I ain't looking for no man. And I'm like, okay, I just normally keep quiet and just look like, okay. But there's a saying, and I hope I'm saying it right. If you don't use it, you will lose it. And that means if you're not using your muscles, meaning your vaginal muscles, you can lose it, and it will become atrophy, meaning that it's almost like it will snap back to a virgin. And in the how am I saying this? It will be as if you've never had sex because you're not having sex, and because the vagina is a muscle, and it will tighten when you're not using it over time. So, and I believe that because it's not being used, your sexual energy is not flowing. Some people become so mean and bitchy and just snapping for no reason. And when I see people interact that way, and I'm like, they ain't had none in a while. Because if they had some, they wouldn't be acting like this. And I'm not being funny. This is I'm being so honest right now. Like, some people need to have that release, no matter, I can't say no matter what age you are, but if you're a mature adult, and just say once upon a time you were getting it having healthy sex on a regular, and now for some reason it's not happening, that sexual frustration will kick in like Bruce Lee. Like, it's necessary, and people don't talk about sexual health. And I hope I'm not going off topic, but even in your golden ages, if you are up and moving, if you're active, if you can get up and stand up and move around freely, then I think you should be engaging in some healthy sex. Or if you're not engaging with anyone, then healthy self-pleasure. Because we have to have that positive, energetic flow. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I believe in that so much. So, yeah, we must remain active and healthy and all of these good things in order to still function as a human being. Some topics people don't want to talk about, but it's reality. It's necessary. It's very important that we stay in touch with who we are. We should not disregard the fact that we have feelings, sexual feelings, even as an older adult, or even if you're a widowed adult, or a divorcee, or just single. you know that's our reality. We're human. We have those feelings. So, but some people don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to break the ice, and sometimes they don't want to talk about it because sex has been such a taboo in some Black communities, and I'm going to say rural communities, because those topics were just hushed. Like, don't talk about that. That's bad. That's nasty. We were made to believe that sex was only for married adults. But anyway, that's another topic, y'all. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast about elderly companionships and the things that comes with the lack thereof, the loneliness, the health issues, the sexual atrophy, all of that, comes with, the golden ages. So I hope you share this podcast with a friend or two, and stay tuned for the next episode. And remember to stay flipped on flip side of the coin. Thank you.